So welcome back again. So we have been studying about interference of light in the last class, and we have studied two subdivisions of interference, that is interference of light by division of amplitude and division of wavefront. And in the last classes, or in the last module, or in the last chapter, we have discussed interference of light by division of wavefront, and we have discussed Fresnel biprism, Fresnel double mirror arrangement as an example of this specific heading. And in this chapter, what we are going to discuss is interference of light by division of amplitude. Okay, and we know what is interference, what is the theory behind interference, and two ways to produce interference pattern of light is interference by division of amplitude and division of wavefront. And actually both of them means division. Division stands for splitting of light from a single source into two beams. And first we have studied already division of wavefront. And what is division of amplitude is splitting of a single beam of light into two beams. It could be a reflected beam, it could be a transmitted beam, it could be a refracted beam at the surface between the two media of any or different refractive index. And division of amplitude means splitting of a single light beam into two beams. It could be a reflected and a transmitted beam at the surface between two media having different refractive index. And we know before discussing the interference pattern, you'll have to keep in mind, or you'll have to be in thorough about the question like what are the conditions or what are the prerequisites for the interference to occur. The first and the foremost condition is the two sources producing the light so as to get the interference pattern should be the coherent sources of light. That is, two coherent sources having a constant phase difference, same frequency, etc. To produce interference pattern for light waves, the two or more overlapping beams should always come from a single source. That is, interference, for the occurrence of interference means we need at least two beams of light. And these two beams of light should be coming from the same source. Then only we can say that these two beams of light are coherent. Okay. Light cannot be produced as a continuous wave, but it is made up of photons which is continuously being emitted in bundles. And this is not obviously the case for the sound waves. Okay, these are the things that you know. Okay, so before discussing the theory or going deep into the theory of interference by division of amplitude, we should understand what is the concept of this path difference and what is the difference between this geometric path difference and what is the so-called optical path difference and all. This is something you have studied in your chapter for math principle. We'll just brush up our knowledge. Suppose we are having two sources of light, S1 and S2, so that both of them meet at the point Q. So I can say the difference in the path length. There is a, from the mere sight itself it is understood. There is a difference in the path length from S1 to Q and S2 to Q. This difference in path length is called the path difference. And I can simply say that the path difference is S2Q. S2Q is something more bigger. So I can say S2Q minus S1Q. And there are two types of interference that you are knowing. That is constructive interference and destructive interference. So first we'll discuss what is constructive interference. For constructive interference to occur or so as to get a bright band at the point Q, what happens? The path difference should be an integral multiple of wavelength. And M stands for the integral multiple. M can have values 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So S2 minus S2Q minus S1Q is equal to M lambda means what you will get? You will get a bright band which stands for constructive interference. Similarly, for destructive interference to take place, the wave must be out of phase at Q, that is to get a dark band by phase difference or path difference of lambda by 2. That is a crust from the source S1 have to meet the trough from the source S2. This indicates a path difference of lambda by 2 or a phase difference of pi. So normally I can write that the condition for the path difference for the occurrence of destructive interference should be S2Q minus S1Q is equal to M plus half integral multiple of lambda. This is an integral multiple of lambda means This is a half integral multiple of lambda m taking integer values. So next is the optical path difference. What is basically the difference between the geometric path length and optical path length? Suppose we are having two coherent sources S1 and S2, and this light path S1 to P is in air, and S2 P is the light path in a different medium. Here I am taking the medium as perspex, and it is having a refractive index. It is a glass. Perspex is a glass, and it's having a refractive index 1.5. And again, the point P is in air. So the geometrical path difference is the same for both the sources. Path difference is S2P minus S1P is the geometrical path difference. And I can write that the S2P minus S1P, both of these paths are the same. So there is no path difference, geometric path difference. S2P, the distance, and S1P, the distances are the same, means S2P minus S1P will be normally 0. So this is what the geometrical path difference is. But the next is but the waves may not be in phase. This is because the speed of the light and the wavelength of the light get reduced when it enters a medium other than air, and this medium is having a refractive index greater than air, which reduces the velocity of light in perspex. So S1P is exactly 3 wavelength. 3 lambda means S2P will be what? 1.5 into 3. They are coherent. They are having same wavelength. Means it will be having in the medium. The second path, ray path S2P is in perspex, and it is having a refractive index 1.5. So its path length will be the actual path into 1.5, which will be 4.5 wavelength. So optical path length must not be considered equivalent to the geometrical path length. So what is the connection between both? Optical path length is refractive index into geometrical path length. Or I can say optical path length is equal to n, which is refractive index, into d, which is the geometrical path length. This is what we have studied in our chapter on Fermat's principle. I am just brushing up your knowledge on what you have studied, and here dealing with all the theory of this interference by division of amplitude, we need this optical path difference. So I can say optical path difference is what? Refractive index of first medium into path length minus refractive index the second medium into path length. Or I can say the condition for constructive interference to occur is n1 minus n2d is equal to m lambda, and for destructive interference n1 minus n2d is equal to m plus half into lambda. This is an integral multiple of wavelength. This is a half integral multiple of wavelength in terms of optical path difference, so as to get the constructive and destructive interference. Hope the things are clear. I am just repeating again. We are just brushing up our previous knowledge in this class. Again, one more thing that you have to keep in mind is that suppose we are having a light ray hitting, it is moving from a medium of refractive index n1 and hits a medium of refractive index n2 such that the refractive index n2 is greater than n1. So normally what happens? There occurs, upon reflection, there occurs a path difference of lambda by 2 or a phase difference of 5. That is inversion with lambda by 2 shift in position. And for this to occur, the refractive index of the second medium in which the light hits should be greater than the first medium through which the light was traveling initially. And if suppose we are having a light ray hitting a medium of refractive index, traveling from a medium of refractive index n1 and hitting a medium of refractive index n2 such that n2 is less than n1, means upon reflection there occurs no inversion. There occurs no phase difference between the incident and the reflected light waves. Okay, so while considering the path difference, these reflections add up in additional path difference of lambda by 2. So you'll have to keep it in mind. Upon reflection from a rarer medium to a denser medium, or from reflection from a denser medium to a rarer medium, there occurs a path difference of lambda by 2 or a phase difference of phi. Okay, it is explained. That is, when a wave of light is reflected at the surface of a denser medium, it always gives a phase change of phi or a path difference of lambda by 2. Or you have to keep it in mind always. So hope it is clear. Now we'll move to a particular portion which is called the thin films. So what is a thin film? How can we call a film to be thin? Okay, an optical medium is called a thin film when its thickness is of the order of one wavelength of the light in visible region. That is, otherwise we can say a film having thickness of 0.5 micrometer to 10 micrometer can be considered as a thin film. 0.5 micrometer, that is 0.5 into 10 raised to minus 6 meter to 10 into 10 raised to minus 6 meter can be considered as a thin film having a thickness 0.5 to 10 micrometer thickness. A thin film may be a thin sheet of a transparent material such as a glass, mica, air film, etc. enclosed between two transparent plates or a soap bubble. When light gets incident on such a film, what happens? A small part of the light gets reflected from the top surface. A major part is transmitted into the film. Again, a small part is transmitted, reflected, transmitted, etc. And this process gets repeated. Suppose a small portion of the light, suppose we are having an incident ray having a 100% intensity and it is hitting a thin film. What happens? 96% of the light is, okay, as an example we can take this one. In a transparent thin film, the two pounding surface strongly transmit light. Transmit means it allows the light to pass through it. Only weakly reflect the light. Normally thin films have a greater tendency for the light to pass through it and only a small percentage of it gets reflected. Therefore, only the first reflection at the top surface and the first reflection at the bottom surface will be having a appreciable strength. Most of the light will be transmitted and the reflected light will be meager. So normally the intensity of the reflected light also will be meager. Suppose we consider a glass plate having a refractive index 1.52. So we have having a expression for reflectivity as R is equal to 1.52 minus 1 divided by 1.52 plus 1 whole square. Its value is 0.042. That means up to 4% of the incident light is reflected. It is the equation for reflectivity which indicates 4% of the incident light is reflected. When 100% of light falls on a thin film of high transmittivity, what happens? 4% gets reflected, 96% get transmitted. And once it reaches the lower surface of the thin film, what happens? Again, 92% will be transmitted, 4% out of it. Out of 96, 4% means what is left is 92. 92 will be transmitted and the rest will be 96% of transmitted into the plate. Out of the light reaching the bottom surface, again 3.8% is reflected, 92 is transmitted, and again out of 3.8, what happens? 1.15 is reflected. It is reflected back at the inner boundary, and 3.65 is transmitted here. And out of the 3.8%, 3.56 is transmitted, 0.015 is reflected. After two reflections, and this process is repeated, and the intensity of the reflected light goes on decreasing its intensity. So hope it is clear for you. What is a thin film? How light gets reflected and transmitted in a thin film. Normally, most of the light gets transmitted through a thin film. And what happens when light moves from a fairer medium and get reflected at the interface of a denser medium? There occurs a phase difference, path difference. And what is geometrical path difference and what is optical path difference? And what are the conditions for the occurrence of constructive interference, and what are the conditions for the occurrence of destructive interference. Hope these are the prerequisites or the prior knowledge needed for going through this chapter. Hope it is clear. So in the next class, what you are going to discuss is interference of light at the thin film due to the reflected light. We are observing the interference of the reflected light from a thin film. Okay, so we'll soon come out with the next chapter. Okay, thank you.